You're very welcome back to Ireland AM. A recent study by the Central Statistics Office on the lives of 25-year-olds has revealed that just under 2 in 5 respondents reported levels of risky or hazardous drinking.
Yes, here to tell us more is the CEO of Alcohol Action Ireland, Dr. Sheila Gilheany. How are you, Sheila?
Hello, I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah, Sheila, the CSO found that just under 2 in 5 people are engaging in hazardous drinking. What would we classify as hazardous drinking?
So, it's a pattern of drinking that arises from that gives rise to hazards. So it's things like drinking a lot on any one particular occasion. So by drinking a lot, I mean more than 6 standard drinks in a drinking occasion, but also a pattern of doing that frequently, and then the sort of impacts that you get from that. So there's a questionnaire that's carried out, and you reach a certain score on that. You've drunk so much at this particular time that brings you into this kind of hazardous drinking. So I'm not surprised to see this particular set of results, because that actually reflects what we can see across the broader community. And we know actually that Ireland has one of the highest rates of hazardous drinking across the OECD. We're actually the 8th highest across OECD countries.
But when we look at the demographics of it, I mean, men of that age are significantly more likely to engage in this behaviour than women. Why is that, do we know?
Well, you have to look at, what drives alcohol consumption. There's usually 3 things that are a big part in it. One is the availability of it, so it's widely available. Another is the price of it, and actually alcohol is very affordable here in Ireland. And then the third thing is the marketing of it. So we have a huge amount of marketing of alcohol, a lot of it actually to young men, particularly when you see its association with sport, for example. And we see that through, the sponsorship of things like Guinness Six Nations, for example. And there's a lot of sporting kind of activity that is associated with alcohol. And all of that combines to make it more likely that that all of us will drink, but that men in particular will drink in a hazardous way.
There's been a recent study as well, correlation between men's sports teams and young men playing sports, and that's leading to more excessive drinking. What did that study find?
Yeah, it actually found that if you take part in sports as a teenager, that you're more likely to start drinking as a teen than if you don't take part in sports. And it seems counterintuitive, because you be thinking, it's a healthy activity to be taking part in sport, and of course we want more people to be doing that. But in this country, it's actually a risk factor. And the reason for that is probably to do with, first of all, that association with alcohol sports sponsorship, but also as well, that clubs will have bar facilities, and there will be kind of a growth in, watching a match together, which again, I understand there's a lot in that, but it is paired along with drinking at the same time.
This surprised me, because I'm playing sports all my life, and definitely growing up, no matter where you were in the country, it was a pub culture. Even if you were playing at the highest county levels, the lads were winning a match and they were going for a pint after the game. But I feel like there's such a professionalism and commitment from young lads now going into certain teams and certain sports that I would have thought it was the complete opposite. But obviously this study says different.
The study does, and that particular study is a thing that has been done in a number of different counties around Ireland. And basically they asked every 15-year-old, in particular counties, a set of questions, and it was remarkably consistent across different counties, the same pattern, that if you were involved in team sport, you were more likely to be drinking.
But when it comes to the measures that you mentioned, sponsorship, and there has been some measures done in recent times about that, involving the sponsorship in sport, when it comes to when you can advertise alcohol, etc. and so forth. Excise duties have gone up. I mean, I think we're one of the highest excise duties in Europe. So none of these things seem to be translating. But there are some, I suppose, some good outcomes, because our level of binge drinking has gone down, has it not?
Well, there's a few things I'd just like to kind of clarify there. Firstly, our rate of binge drinking actually went up last year. In relation to excise duties...
Or is our consumption of alcohol gone down?
So our overall consumption has gone down, and that is actually a really positive thing. And it's gone down by just over 10% since a piece of legislation was passed called the Public Health Alcohol Act. Just going back to your thing about excise duties have not changed in 11 years. So in fact, actually, their value has decreased by about 15%. No. So... But going back to that legislation that I mentioned, the Public Health Alcohol Act, it does have a number of modest restrictions on advertising, which is good. And we're seeing things like minimum unit pricing that has had a bit of an impact. Yeah. But I will say that that whole package was designed to work together. And what we have found is that the measures within it have not been implemented in a timely way, and there's some parts that have not been implemented at all. And one thing that we're particularly concerned about is that that the legislation provides for warning labels to be put on all alcohol products, and that's due to come into effect from May 2026. And we were quite shocked actually yesterday to hear Simon Harris, who was the minister who actually steered this legislation through to its conclusion in 2018, actually say that, oh, hang on a moment, I think we might need to look at this again. And we're kind of going, absolutely not. This is legislation that has been debated, has gone through all the correct EU processes, and it's about giving consumers factual information about the risks from alcohol.
But do you think people know it already, though? I mean, there's been so much publicity over the years. Everyone knows excess alcohol consumption is bad for you. But the labels on this, it's just, you want it in black and white, that the calories on it and cancer warnings, etc., and cardiovascular disease, just in black and white, and you think that would have a massive impact on the way we consume, particularly with younger people, is that it?
Well, I would say it's part of a package.
Yeah.
So, for example, another element is that there should be restrictions on the content of alcohol advertisements, and those advertisements would have to carry the same warnings. Now, we know from research that actually warnings do have an impact. You can see it actually from tobacco warnings, it's there, but they have to be combined with other things like excise duties, like restrictions on advertising. And I will say that although there is we're here talking about, risks from alcohol, actually, when the surveys are done, people don't know the risks from alcohol. They say it maybe will cause a problem, or it's excessive drinking that maybe causes a problem. Actually, the risk of alcohol-related cancers rises from as little as 1 to 2 drinks a day. It gives a significant
Is that a unit
increased...
or an actual drink? Because I think a lot of people get confused in that way, what a unit of alcohol is. And binge drinking is 6. Is it 6 units or 6 standard drinks?
6 standard drinks. And what you mean by a standard drink is a small glass of wine, say about 100 millilitres, or a half pint of beer, or
so
a pub
3
measure.
pints of beer is binge drinking?
Yes.
So which a lot of people don't know, that the 3 pints is actually a binge
This is awful news.
scenario.
I know, and that's exactly what I'm saying, that, we sort of think we know about alcohol, but actually the bulk of our information on alcohol comes from the alcohol industry, who, funny enough, don't want you to know about the risks, from alcohol. So just, thinking of other warnings that should be on those labels, the risk of liver disease. Now, liver disease has been steadily rising in Ireland over the last 2 decades. Inexorably, it's just gone up and up and up. And oftentimes, and I know liver specialists have talked to us about this, and they would say, their patients would say, I never knew that my drinking could actually be risky. It's not that they're necessarily dependent on alcohol, it's just they're drinking a lot. And our version of drinking a lot here in Ireland is so normalised that we don't see it as a lot.
It's ingrained in our society, I think, Jocelyn. It's been getting better, I feel. But Sheila, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila Gilheeney. Thank you so much for joining us. From Alcohol Action Ireland. Now, still to come this morning, we get a lesson in creating the viral Dubai chocolate from the comfort of your own kitchen.
Plus, Dancing with the Star judge Arthur Grulian is cha-cha-chaing in the studio. We'll see you back here shortly.